Hey guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We are here at Donald W. Reynolds Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville, Arkansas, bringing you our 2019 Arkansas football predictions. And as you can see behind us, the university is switching from turf to grass, so they are going through a lot of renovations in preparation for the 2019 season, much like this entire Arkansas football team. The Razorbacks are coming off their worst season in school history in 2018, going just 2-10 in Chad Morris's first year. And his hammer down, put it in the left lane, fast-paced offense looked more like a student driver trying to merge on to the interstate. It was that bad. That was the worst offensive performance from the Razorbacks since 2013 when Brett Bielema took over. Defensively, the Razorbacks allowed over 30 points per game for the third straight year. But it was also a bright spot at times in year one under John Chavis' defense. The Razorbacks were in games against Texas A&M and LSU, but that defense was also their downfall in games like Colorado State, Vanderbilt, and Ole Miss. But this year there's a lot of excitement surrounding the Hogs. They bring back Ben Hicks, a transfer quarterback from SMU, who learned under Chad Morris during his time there. They get Nick Starkel, a transfer quarterback from Texas A&M, who has playing experience in the SEC. And despite going 2-10 last year, Arkansas signed a top 20 recruiting class going into the 2019 season. So you can expect a much different season and much more improvement from the Razorbacks in year two under Chad Morris. They open up the season with what we think will be a surefire victory against Portland State. The Razorbacks should not have an issue with them, even though they did struggle in the non-conference last year against the likes of North Texas and Colorado State. They kick off SEC play, though, very, very early on the road against Ole Miss. And this is going to be a crucial game for both teams. Ole Miss and Arkansas both trying to get to the postseason. Now Ole Miss off of that bowl ban. But I think Arkansas gets the win here against the Rebels on the road. I expect it to be very close. Last time here, the Razorbacks won 38-37 on a game-winning field goal from Connor Limpert. But Ole Miss this year loses their star quarterback in Jordan Teamu. They lose their good core of wide receivers. And while I do return 10 starters defensively, while I do bring in Rich Rodriguez as offensive coordinator and Mike McIntyre as defensive coordinator, I don't think Ole Miss, especially in week two, has enough to beat a Razorbacks team that has an experienced defense in year two under Chavis and an offense that should take a bigger step forward in year two. So, Razorbacks starting off the season 2-0 with a win over Ole Miss, and this will also be Chad Morris's first victory in SEC conference play. They come back home to face off against Colorado State, of course a team that we all know beat Arkansas last year. The Razorbacks led by 18 points in the fourth quarter, but allowed the Rams to come back and win 34-27, and what was arguably one of the bigger upsets of the college football season. While the Razorbacks were not ranked at the time, they were heavy favorites in that game. This year, though, with revenge on their mind, being much improved, and the Rams losing quite a bit of starters themselves, the Razorbacks get revenge on their home turf, and they start off the season 3-0, as well as 4-0, because we're going to give them an automatic win over San Jose State, an opponent coming out of the Mountain West, but arguably the worst team in the Mountain West Conference. So they shouldn't have any issue in the non-conference this year, much like they struggled in non-conference in 2018. They then get into the bulk of SEC play here, facing off against Texas A&M in Arlington, of course, at Jerry's World. The past 4 of the 5 meetings between Arkansas and Texas A&M, dating all the way back to 2014, have been decided by a touchdown. 3 of those 4 games went to overtime. The lone exception was in 2016 when the Razorbacks fell by 21 to the Aggies. So Arkansas usually puts on their A game against Texas A&M, but this Aggies team led by Jimbo Fisher, also in year 2, is legit. They have a very experienced offense with Kellen Mond, one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, a phenomenal core of wide receivers, and while I only return 4 starters defensively, I think they will get the job done against the Razorbacks in what should be another close one. Arkansas was able to cut it to a 7-point deficit last year, expected to be another close game this year, but Arkansas once again falls to A&M, having not beaten the Aggies since 2011. They fall to Texas A&M 1-1 in conference play. They get a big-time bye week to kick off October before going on the road to face off against Kentucky. And this is a very winnable game for Arkansas. This is a very winnable game for them. Kentucky losing so much talent last year, especially on the defensive side of the ball, but they do bring back Terry Wilson at quarterback and their leading wide receiver in Lynn Bowden. So you can expect more of a passing attack from Kentucky this year after losing Benny Snell, their star running back and their all-time leading rusher at Kentucky. And while I said this game is winnable, while I do like the fact that they're coming off a bye, Kentucky's coming off a bye also. And although Kentucky's not going to match their 10-win total that they had last year, they will still go bowling again. They are still going to be a tough out for any team. And I think Arkansas falls once again in a close game on the road in Lexington. They fall to the Wildcats. They return home to face off against Auburn, and this game is always intriguing just because of the relationship that Gus Malzahn has had here in Fayetteville. Also the relationship that Chad Morris and Gus Malzahn have between each other. Last year, the Tigers won 34-3 at Auburn. Although that score looked very lopsided, Arkansas held their own for the majority of that game. A couple miscues down the road ended up making that score look a lot worse than it really was. This year, Auburn has a lot of questions surrounding them. Who's going to be their quarterback? Joey Gatewood or Bo Nix? How will Auburn even be in 2019? We know their defensive line is going to be one of the strengths, but how will their offense fare with such a difficult schedule? This defensive line, though, is one of the best in the entire nation. And I don't think the Arkansas offensive line is prepared enough to go up against this Auburn defensive line. So I think whoever's at quarterback, Nick Starkel or Ben Hicks, is going to have a very rough day. Arkansas, led by Rakeem Boyd at running back, is going to have a horrible day on the ground, and Auburn comes into Fayetteville and gets a win over the Razorbacks. And you can sure as heck mark down an automatic loss on the road against Alabama. No way that Arkansas beats the Crimson Tide last year, even though they put up the most points against the Crimson Tide in the regular season, scoring 31 here in Fayetteville. Of course, Alabama allowing the most points in the national championship game, but 31 points here in Fayetteville against the Crimson Tide last year, but still lost 65-31. Expect Arkansas, as I said, their offense to improve, to put up a decent amount of points on the road against Alabama. So this is a hungry Alabama team, a very talented offensive team at that as well, with Tua Tagovailoa, Jerry Jeudy, and that core of wide receivers. On the road at Bryant-Denny Stadium, very difficult place to win. Arkansas can't do it. Have not beaten the Crimson Tide since 2006. They return home to face off against Mississippi State. And as you can see, right now we have them with 4 wins. They need 2 wins in the remaining 4 games to go bowling. And luckily for them, 3 of those games are at home. They come back home to face off against Mississippi State, who also has a quarterback question of their own. Will it be Keaton Thompson or will it be Tommy Stevens, the transfer from Penn State? Of course, having played under Joe Moorhead, the former offensive coordinator at Penn State. This, like Kentucky, is a very winnable game for Arkansas, and I like the fact that it is here in Fayetteville. Mississippi State lost a lot of talent defensively, and they lost their star quarterback in Nick Fitzgerald, but I like Thompson at quarterback. I think he's going to be the starter, should be the starter, and is very, very talented. Arkansas got annihilated 51-6 on the road at Starkville last year. They're not going to improve enough to drastically turn around and beat the Bulldogs this year. Expected to be close, but they fall to the Bulldogs. So after starting off 4-0, we have Arkansas on a 5-game losing streak. They are 4-5 on the season, but we do have them bouncing back with a win against Western Kentucky. And the reason we didn't mark this down as an automatic victory is because Western Kentucky could be a threat in the Conference USA this year, no doubt in my mind. But it's also an intriguing storyline because there's a very good chance that Ty Story, the former Arkansas quarterback, played last year for the Razorbacks, could be the starter for the Hilltoppers in 2019. So he will have a homecoming here, and you never know what can happen. A little bit of revenge on his mind. This game could be closer than some expect, but I think Arkansas takes care of business against Western Kentucky. They're now 5-5, 1 win away from bowl eligibility. They go on the road against LSU following a bye week. As you can see, we've got this sprinkler spraying all over us here. But they get this bye week, going on the road to LSU, battle for the Golden Boot. Last year here in Fayetteville, they held LSU to just 24 points. And we saw how drastically improved the LSU offense was under Ed Ogeron and with the addition of Joe Burrow at quarterback. LSU's offense will be even better, though, in year 2, and their defense as well will be one of the best in the entire nation. Despite coming off this week of rest, I don't think they stand a chance going on the road to Baton Rouge. They fall to the Tigers. But one thing to add, though, is that Arkansas always gives LSU a fight in this rivalry game. And as we've said in our previous predictions, when it comes down to rivalry games, you can throw records out the window. So do not be surprised that Arkansas hangs with the Tigers in Death Valley. They close out the season in Little Rock. They're home away from home at War Memorial Stadium, facing off against Missouri. And the Tigers bring back Kelly Bryant, the transfer quarterback from Clemson. And he will absolutely make an immediate impact with what will be a very dangerous offense in Columbia for the Tigers. And I think it's also not getting enough attention. This Missouri defense should improve a little bit under Barry Odom. He was the defensive coordinator there, but we haven't really seen that defensive improvement during his tenure with the Tigers. I expected to get there in 2019. Missouri could very well win 9, maybe 10 games, but it won't matter if they can't get that bowl ban pushed away. But in the end, I think Missouri and that dual threat of Kelly Bryant at quarterback gets the edge over Arkansas in Little Rock. Once again, I expect it to be a close game because I do expect this Arkansas team to drastically improve. But they don't have enough to beat Missouri, even though it's at home in Little Rock. They fall to the Tigers, and it is a 5-7 record for Chad Morris in year 2 with the Razorbacks. See if we can fix that here. 5-7, that's a 3-game improvement from that 2-10 disaster in 2018, bringing in some big-time transfers, bringing in a great recruiting class, including a great core of wide receivers and a defense that will be strong on the defensive line and the linebacking core. Do not count out the Razorbacks in any game this season, except for maybe that Alabama game. But besides that, the Razorbacks will be much improved and will be a contender against a lot of these teams. I said they could have a close game against A&M, Kentucky, maybe Auburn, Mississippi State, and Missouri. So a 5-7 season could drastically turn to something much better and very special for the Razorbacks. But I think 5-7, the most realistic possibility for the Hogs going into 2019, and slowly but surely they will be getting there here in Fayetteville. So guys, as always, thank you for watching. Go follow us on YouTube, or go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert, and check out our official website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter and sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will receive every single one of our 2019 college football spread picks, including the postseason. And I can promise you that is a deal you do not want to pass up. So join our team, sign up today only at thegridironexpert.com. And guys, as always, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.